Hi everyone, welcome to Think and Grow Rich Daily Hangout. This is a daily hangout where we read from either Think and Grow Rich or from lecture notes by Napoleon Hill and just add anything else that can be of use or value to what's been read. So if you'd like to come into the hangouts, you're watching this later on or you're catching the replay the same day, then you just need to join our Facebook group, and we post the link there just before going live. So it's the same time every day. Unless there's any technical hitches or anything. So I had a few people commenting on Google asking me, I want to talk, how do I do it? I use the Facebook group, so the link is in the description, so all you need to do is click on that link, ask to join the group, I'll approve it, and then you'll get access to all the links. So I hope that helps. If you're not clear, then just let me know. So we've been reading about going the extra mile and how a lot of the people that Napoleon Hill interviewed were really people that always went the extra mile, and that they, the thing I like about what he says is sometimes people think that means you only get things through hard work, and that it's, that sometimes there can be a limiting belief, I believe, that nothing is easy, that everything has to be hard work and grinding, and actually I believe that it's possible, it's possible to do things in a different way. You still need to do hard work, but it doesn't have to be exactly what people think. People think that means working 14 hours a day doing things that are really difficult and tough. Actually, sometimes if you know what you're doing, you can do things in just a few hours that are more effective than what some people would do in 12 hours a day. And yeah, I was thinking about that today, because sometimes there's a temptation when we want to do something. You think, well, I just have to work harder and harder. And I recently spent time with a large group of people, and one of them, I was chatting to him and his partner for a long while, and he works literally about 10 hours a week, and he's a multi-millionaire, and he doesn't, he's worked hard all his life, he's been consistent. But he shared with me this energy where working hard doesn't necessarily mean the quantity, the quality. What masters a skill set, he delegates a lot of other things, and he focuses on the things that he's good at, and makes his income with that. And so there's a great book called The 4-Hour Work Week, which is kind of goes more into depth on this issue. So I just wanted to clear that, because I was thinking about what we talked about with the reading yesterday, Glenn, with the going the extra mile. I could feel.
Yeah, going the extra mile, and the vision thing too, right? In other words, incorporating your vision into your life, Oops, looks like we've got a little hang here. Okay, we'll wait for a second or two.
Yeah, that means you have. Okay, so.
There was quite a dropout there, Sandy.
Ah, right. Okay, I thought so, because I was asking if you had any thoughts, and I wasn't getting a response. Can you see the book?
I can see the book, yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Did you want to add anything before we read?
No. I think I guess you can read today too, huh?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I'd like to hear your beautiful British voice.
Thank you. Mr. Bean voice. Okay, so you'd be surprised if you found out how few there are who are willing to go the extra mile, and overlooking one of the grandest opportunities that a human being could possibly have, especially here in this country of ours, where we can really create our own destiny. We can express ourselves in any way that we want to. Speech is free, activity is free, education is free. A wonderful opportunity to get right in and go the extra mile in any direction you want to travel, and yet most people are not doing it. Napoleon had seen the time when there were not so many people interested in this principle. They were prosperous, doing all right, and had no troubles to speak of. Today, in 1954, almost everybody has troubles, or thinks he has, or she has. Instead of finding out what's wrong with the rest of the world, Napoleon found out what he could do to correct himself. He had to eat with him, sleep with him, shave with him every morning, wash his face, give him a bath now and then. He had to live with the guy 24 hours a day. So he put in his time trying to improve himself, and through himself, trying to improve his friends and students by writing books, delivering lectures, and teaching in other ways. It paid off much better than if he would have sat down and read all the murder stories, all the divorce scandals, and everything that blazed across the pages every day. If Napoleon had to live his life over again, he would live it just exactly the way he had it. He would make all the mistakes he'd made. He would have made them at the time in life when he made them, early, so he would have time left to correct some of them. That period during which he would come into peace of mind and understanding would be in the afternoon of life, not in the forenoon, because when you're young you can take it. When you pass the noon hour and go into the afternoon, your energies are not as great oftentimes as they were before. To have the tranquility of peace of mind Napoleon had in the afternoon of life was one of the great joys that came out of this philosophy. If you asked Napoleon what had been his greatest compensation, he would say that's it, because there were so many people at his age, and even much younger than him, who hadn't found peace of mind, and never will. They never will because they're looking for it in the wrong place. They're not doing anything about it, and are expecting someone else to do something about it for them. That peace of mind is something that you've got to get for yourself. You've got to earn it first of all. That's how anybody can get peace of mind. You'd be surprised where you have to really start looking for it. Not where the average person is looking for it, out there in the joys of what money will buy, out there in the joys of recognition, fame, fortune, and what have you. Not there, but in the humility of the individual's own heart. Napoleon got peace of mind mostly in that third inner world, where the wall is as high as eternity, where he went into meditation many times each day. There is where he got his real peace of mind. He could always withdraw into that inner wall, cut out every earthly influence, and come in with the higher forces of the universe. What a grand thing that is. Anybody can do that. You can do that. When you get through with this philosophy, you'll be able to do anything you want to do, just as well or better than anything Napoleon ever did. His hope was that, incidentally, every student of his eventually excelled him in every way that he knew possible, maybe in writing books or where he left off, and writing better books than he wrote. Napoleon considered himself as just a student, a fairly intelligent student, on the path, and the only state of perfection he had was that he found peace of mind and how to get it. Engage in at least one act of going the extra mile every day. You can choose your own circumstance if it's nothing more than telephoning an acquaintance and wishing them good fortune. You'll be surprised what will happen to you when you begin to call up your friends that you have been neglecting for some time and just say, "Hi, you were on my mind. I was thinking about you. I just wanted to call up and say how are you doing, and I hope you're feeling as good as I am." You'd be surprised what that will do to you and what that will do to the friend too. It doesn't have to be a close personal friend. It just has to be somebody you know, or may relieve some friend from duty for half an hour or so, or have some neighbors send over their children while they attend the movies. It would be a nice thing for people who don't have children to say, "Why don't you and your husband go on a little courtship? Go out to the movies. Let me come over and babysit for you." You have to know your neighbors pretty well in order to do that. Certainly most of you have some neighbor that you would approach on some such basis as that, and they wouldn't think you were crazy. It's not so much what you do to the other person. It's what you do to yourself by finding ways and means of going the extra mile in the little ways. Did you know that both the successes in life and failures are made up of little things? Very little things. So little, in fact, that oftentimes they're overlooked. The real reasons for success is overlooked because the things that make success are so small in seemingly insignificant things. Napoleon knew some people so popular they couldn't have an enemy. They just couldn't have an enemy. One of them was his distinguished business associate, Mr. Stone, always going the extra mile. Look how prosperous he is. Look how many people are going the extra mile from him. There are a lot of people who, even if they didn't make good money working for Mr. Stone, they would pay him a salary, even to work for him. One person did say just that, and he's become immensely wealthy himself working for Mr. Stone. He said, If I didn't make money out of working for him, I'd pay him if I had to, just for the association.
Sandy, I don't know if you could pick this up or not, if you can, if you have audio, but on page 15 with the word association with him, or those words, we had a cut with drop out right there, that point, and it's still off. So what we'll do is we'll just kind of sit tight and see if you can reestablish a connection.
Because he adjusted himself to their mental attitude, and he didn't get mad at the same time the other fellow did.
Excuse me, Sandy?
Yeah?
There was quite a cutout there. It dropped off on page 15, right when you said the association with Stone, you know, Mr. Stone.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, it stopped right there. Yeah, it cut out right there, and so we lost that. And then you are now on a third. You're on a second link down below. There's one that shows the page and one that shows you.
That's so strange.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There was some connection or something going on there, you know.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. Well, I'll pick up from page 15 then for Mrs. Stone. I'll just go back a bit.
Okay. Yeah, it was right at the end of that sentence about association with him, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for letting me know. I've just been talking to myself. Okay.
Well, yeah, you know, if we do drop off, right, that's all we can do is just go ahead and reestablish, right, where we were.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Mr. Stone is not different from you, from me, or anybody else, except in his mental attitude towards people and towards himself. He makes it his business to go the extra mile. Sometimes people take advantage of that. Don't act fairly with him. Napoleon has seen that happen too. Mr. Stone didn't worry about that too much. In fact, he didn't worry about anything at all. He learned to adjust himself to life in such a way that he got a great joy out of living and a great joy out of people. The most wonderful person in the world is yourself. The first trait of a pleasing personality always is a positive mental attitude, because nobody wants to be around a person who is negative. No matter what other traits you may have, if you don't have a PMA, at least when you're in the presence of people, you're not going to be considered to have a pleasing personality. Rate yourself on that. Anywhere from 0 to 100. If you can rate 100 on that, you'll be up in the class with FDR. That's pretty high. The next trait is flexibility, the ability to adjust yourself to the varying circumstances of life without going down under them. There are lots of people in this world who are so staid, fixed and permanent in their habits and in their mental attitude that they cannot adjust to anything that's unpleasant or anything they don't agree with. Do you know why FDR was one of the most, if not the most popular president in Napoleon's generation? It's because he could be all things to all people. Napoleon had been in his office when senators and congressmen would come in there ready to cut his throat, and they would leave there singing his praises because he adjusted himself to their mental attitude, and he didn't get mad at the same time the other fellow did. That's a mighty good way of adjusting. Learn to be flexible and don't get mad when the other person is mad. If you want to get mad, do it on your own account when the other fellow is in good humor, and you'll have a much better chance of not getting hurt. Napoleon had seen presidents of the United States come and go. He was associated with several of them, and he knew what the factor of flexibility can mean in the highest office in the world. Herbert Hoover probably was one of the best business executives we've ever had in the White House, and yet he couldn't possibly sell himself to the people a second time because he was inflexible. He could not bend. He was too static, too fixed. Calvin Coolidge was the same way, and Woodrow Wilson, to some extent, was the same way. He was too austere, too static, too fixed, too correct. In other words, he wouldn't allow anybody to slap him on the shoulder, call him Woody, or take any personal liberties with him at all. There's so many things in this life that you have to adjust yourself to temporarily if you're going to have peace of mind and good health. You might as well just start in now learning to do it, and if you're not flexible, you can become flexible. Number 3, a pleasing tone of voice. There's an important thing that you can experiment with. A lot of people have harsh tones. They put that something into the tone of voice that irritates other people. Take any monotonous speaker, for instance. Does not have personal magnetism, does not know how to give pitch and tone to his voice, and he will never get his audience. Not in a million years if he tried. If you're going to teach, or if you're going to lecture, or if you're going to do public speaking, or even good conversation, you've got to learn to give a pleasant, pleasing tone to your tone of voice. If you can't do that now, you can do it by a little bit of practice. Oftentimes, by simply lowering your voice, not talking too loudly. You can give it that something that is pleasing to the ear. Napoleon didn't think that anybody can teach another person how to make his tone of voice pleasing. You have to do that yourself. You have to do it by experimenting, but first of all, before you do it, you have to feel pleasing. How could you use a pleasant tone of voice when you feel angry, for instance, or when you didn't like a person that you were talking to? How could you do it? Well, you can, but it's not too effective unless you really feel inside of you the way you're expressing yourself. All of those things are carefully studied techniques that you have to acquire if you're going to make yourself pleasing, and consequently, nothing will pay off better
Hello. Let's see. Well, it looks like Sandy has frozen, and she's a moderator, so it's difficult for us to participate. Huh? Okay. Hi, Paula. Can you hear me, Paula? Can you unmute your microphone at the top of the screen? There's a microphone.
Yes.
Oh, okay. There you are. Well, hi. It
Can you hear me?
looks like Sandy's having connection problems, you know. And you know, so I made a note of where we were. We're on page 17. Nothing will pay off better. So when she comes back, maybe we can take on from there, or we may have to continue it another day. So Paula, what's your last name?
Shima.
Oh, Sooner?
Shima. S-C-H-I-M-A. Shima.
Oh, Shima. Oh, Paula, I've seen you on Facebook. Yeah,
Yeah.
very cool. Yeah, nice to meet you.
Hi, Paula.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey, Sandy.
Hey, good to see you in person.
We stopped at page 17, but Paula and Heather also came on, so that was kind of neat. But Heather's gone.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
But we
Yeah,
stopped.
I suddenly realized the light had gone off, so I thought, oh no, it's probably frozen again.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh. Where are you calling in from, Paula?
I'm in Florida.
Florida. Very cool.
Ah. Oh, nice. So you're East Coast as well. You're Eastern time.
Yes.
Ah.
I'm glad to see you, Paula.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh, that's really cool to have you on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were just
I'll
reading.
mute myself out now.
You're what?
Oh, she muted her microphone, Sandy.
Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. So maybe I might stop the reading there because it's broken twice. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, then
oh,
we
that's a
can
shame.
go to discussion on what we did do, right? What we did work on this morning.
Yeah. So basically, reading about having an open mind um, and being
Yeah.
like basically like he's saying. I'd say not judging people. Like not having prejudices about things that might close people off to what you're doing or who you are,
Right.
um, and being flexible.
Being flexible. And then the other thing I really liked was peace of mind, right? Through humility found in the human heart. I thought that was a great
Yeah,
thing, right? Because and that goes to the meditation we do, the prayer we do, right? And you pray in your own way, Sandy. You do, and I do, right? And I think that the peace of mind comes out of that kind of work, and that kind of work is almost required, I think, to really know yourself, to really be quiet
yeah,
with yourself. I thought that was great there. And then he talked about successes and failures. They don't come from big, momentous things. They come from all the little things you do every day, right? If you take one step towards your dream today, well, then tonight, put your head on the pillow and say, hey, I made one step forward. Wonderful,
yeah,
right? And it's just the accumulation of all those little steps, right, that winds up, a month later, you say, well, wow, where did that come from? Well, it came from all those little steps you worked on. Very cool,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, exactly. And by the way, Paul, if you want to unmute yourself, you're welcome to.
Join in and discuss it with us. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it's up to you, obviously, because people won't be able to see you unless it only shows you on the video if you speak. So, um, but yeah, Glenn, that's I like that part as well about the peace of mind coming from basically, I think what's good for your heart. Like it's just funny because I was just reading a book just before we did the hangout, and one of the main characters in this book, it's a fiction book, but it's based in medieval times, and it has themes that all of us come across in our lives. And one of the
Yes.
main characters, he has to choose between going against an oath he's taken to be something, and a king comes along and offers him the opportunity to become a lord and have his own castle. It's a medieval book, so
Yeah.
but he's given this chance to have his own
Feudal
castle,
times. Yes.
to
Yeah.
be a lord. But it means he would have to forsake an oath that he had sworn, um, and kind of go against his word. And so the king is putting a lot of pressure on him to do this, and he's just a young guy, like he's 21, but he goes for a walk and he prays. Basically, he prays to trees. That those are his gods in the book. But he ends up and he's thinking about it all, and he's tempted. He thinks I could finally be a lord. I could have my own castle. They want to give me a wife. I'll have all this power. But he doesn't feel good about it, and he doesn't feel in his gut that it's really what he wants. And then he eventually decides not to do it and to say no. And he doesn't know it, but actually what's been going on in the meantime while he was trying to decide was that his colleagues where he's from have voted for him to lead them because because of he's so honorable, and so basically he's trustworthy and has integrity, and they.
Oh dear. Well, we lost the connection again, huh? Darn. Well, the internet still has a few problems, as you can see, connection-wise.
They
And
ask, they want him. Oh, Oh
Uh,
dear.
well, we
Okay.
had quite a dropout. We had probably had about a minute or a minute and a half dropout there, Sandy, too.
Oh no. Yeah,
Yeah,
again. Yeah.
yeah. And we're on a fun track too there, I
I
think,
know. I was off on my castles and medieval. I don't.
Yeah.
Oh no! I suddenly realised. Uh-oh. I think I'm talking to myself, even though the light hasn't gone off. So,
Yeah.
but the very short version of what I was saying is that this guy can choose between a title and a castle and all that comes with that, but
Yeah.
it doesn't feel good in his gut, so he doesn't choose it. And actually, things that work out better because
Yeah.
the people that he works with, they've asked him to lead him, but he didn't know it was kind of being done without him knowing. And so, but it was interesting because it's exactly what Napoleon is talking about. You know, sometimes people search for peace of mind in things that they think will
Well,
make them happy.
tell us about the book you're reading, because maybe some young people may want to pick that up too.
Yeah, well, it's actually it's I only came across it because of a TV series. It's Game of Thrones. Well,
Game of
it's
Thrones, yeah, yeah, which I've watched that too. But I found it a little
yeah.
bit dark for me. But yeah,
Ah,
yeah, for me.
yeah. Well, the book, right? Yeah, the books are really big. Uh, they're really long books, but they're fascinating.
Yeah.
So that's why I was just reading. Yeah.
Yeah.
um, but
So
yeah, so peace of
it's
mind.
in Game of Thrones then, I guess. In Game of Thrones, is that the one you're reading then? Game of Thrones.
No, I'm on another one now because there's five of them. It's a bit like Harry Potter. There's loads of there's a
Okay.
big chunk of books, and yeah, but they have interesting things like it talks a lot about the people being able to sense things, people having dreams in the books, and they don't bring that up so much in the TV series, but there's interesting things in it which I think are things that all of us can do. With it doesn't have to be in a medieval literature novel. um, which is what Napoleon is speaking about here in other parts of the book, the sixth sense.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just to come back to today's reading,
Yeah.
the main gist of its takeaway is having an open mind so
Yes.
that I think that's also so that you can receive more, because if you are, you have all these beliefs and things that you hate and discriminate against, you limit the number of people you're willing to talk to or know or have in your life. And what Napoleon is talking to is, having a big life, having touching a lot of people with what you do,
Mhm.
whatever it is. And the more open-minded we are, the more we can actually do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he did summarize positive mental attitude and flexibility and pleasing tone of voice and all the other attributes that add to your. Actually, those are tools that you use to interact with people, right? I mean, and even with yourself, right? When you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
They're all powerful tools that can be used.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, and I like the fact that he said that successes and failures are not big things, right? They're usually just little things which along the way, right, can be handled, even if it's a failure, right? And what's a failure today may turn out to be something very great later on, and
Yeah.
that goes to, remember the book we read about why quantum physicists do not fail, and there the story of the farmer with the horse, right? And how that whole story about the horse, how every chapter in that little story could turn out to be something totally different later on.
You might want to just explain that for people who are watching the video and don't know what the story is, though.
Okay, well, the story was that farmer had a beautiful horse, and the horse ran away, and everybody said, "Oh, what a terrible thing! That horse ran away." He said, "I don't know if that's a bad thing or not." Right? So that was the end of that story. Well, then his horse came back, and it had brought with him two beautiful stallions. And the neighbors all said, "Oh, what a beautiful stallions! How lucky you are! How fortunate!" He said, "Well, I don't know if that's fortunate or not." Right? Then his son was training the horse, and his son actually got a broken leg training one of those new horses. And so he was laid up, and he wasn't available. Well, along came a war, and all of the young men in that district were taken off to war, and they all died in the war. His son did not. Right? His son did not. So,
Yeah.
so how a thing looks at a particular time is not always the way it will be. The story that you tell about it can change.
Yeah.
With perspective and time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because if he had taken the same attitude that the other people took, the villagers, it would have he would have, you can just sense he would have been a lot more depressed
Right.
and not perhaps seen, and in the end it actually works out, it saves his life.
Yes.
By the
Well,
way.
it saved his son's life, right? So what
Yeah.
looked like problems and great things, right, all turned out to have its own story later on, right? Well, looks like we got a freeze again. And burn. Okay. Gosh.